Hey folks, it's Greg and Janet, Strange RV Tours. Today we're in Jefferson, Texas, and we're here to see the gravesite of Diamond Bessie. First we'll show you her gravesite here. I've got a marker here outside of her gravesite that says Diamond Bessie died December 31st, 1876. And from what I understand, her gravesite is said to be haunted. Have no idea what she does. She gets up out of there and dances, or who knows. But she has a very interesting story. The name on the tombstone is Bessie Moore. It says Bessie Moore, 12/31, 1876. You want to tell us a little bit about Diamond Bessie and how she got her name and what happened to her?
Okay, she's only like 22, 23 years old. And she was a lady of ill repute, a prostitute, but she started out in Syracuse, New York. I've got a lot of information here. She was born in 1854 to a shoe cobbler type guy, okay? And she met a guy by the name of Moore, older guy, and supposedly took off with him. They broke up, and that's when she turned to prostitution. Supposedly she was very gorgeous, dark hair, gray blue eyes, porcelain skin, and she started in like Cincinnati. She went down the Mississippi River, up and down. Her guys would give her gifts and diamond jewelry. That was her noted favorite thing, diamond jewelry. So she worked in brothels in different areas. Started one in Cincinnati, and
New Orleans,
in Arkansas,
up in Hot Springs.
In Hot Springs, yeah. Well, she met this guy, Abraham Rothschild. Not of the big Rothschild banking people, supposedly, but Mr. Meyer Rothschild was a jeweler, and the oldest child, Abraham or Abe, was kind of like the black sheep of the family.
He was a grifter and scam artist.
Yeah, he was. And he frequented the saloons and the brothels, and that's where he met Annie Stone Moore, which was her, well, she kept the name Moore, but would run into him in different brothels. Eventually, they got together and started traveling together. They ended up supposedly getting married in Illinois. Okay? Now, he did have a drinking problem and of an abusive problem, and did have her do some prostitution along with his scamming and stuff like that for money.
Wonderful guy.
Yeah. Well, they ended up coming in down on a steamboat down to Jefferson area, and they took a little train into Marshall, which is right out of Jefferson, and everybody noticed them because they were dressed fancy, and she adorned with all this jewelry, diamond jewelry. And they did not use their real name. They checked in under the name of Mrs. and Mrs. Monroe.
Mr. and Mrs.
Mr. and Mrs. Yeah, Monroe.
And that was at the Moore House, I believe, wasn't it? Wasn't that the name of the place that they were staying?
Yeah, it's like a bed and breakfast place.
It has since burned down.
Yes. But as it is said, is that some of the other girls she knew in the brothels thought he wanted to be with her just because she had all this jewelry. And it was said that she threatened to say that she was pregnant to his father in order to get him to marry her. All these different stories. Okay.
And she was very happy to get married because Abraham's father was wealthy.
Right. But anyway, one day they were seen walking on Marshall Road, going across the Bayou Creek bridge to go have a lunch around 11 a.m. on the date of, well, they're saying December 31st. I have different dates that are said to be like January 21st. But
either day, it was a cold day, probably.
yeah, but walking for a picnic lunch, okay, around 11 a.m. Seen by a Mr. Molly, I don't know the name of the guy that's the last one to see them walking away together. Well, later on, he was seen coming back by himself. And so he was saying, he was saying that she stayed with some friends to visit with some friends. And another account says she went to visit some relatives. Okay. Next morning at the hotel, he's having breakfast by himself with some of the diamond rings on that belonged to her. And so, they said that was January 21st, they said. And so December 31st, that's a discrepancy on some of the dates, okay? And they said he left town on January 23rd with her luggage and his luggage, both. And then by February 5th, there was a black woman collecting wood along the Bayou Creek area and saw what's left of the picnic basket and Diamond Bessie's body, which she was shot in the head. She did not have her jewelry on. And so the date here is, there's different dates, but it said it was New Year's Eve in one account. Two different other articles said in January. Either way, Abraham, or Abe Rothschild, was the only suspect in this case. Okay? Obviously. And with his history, doing stuff, conning people for money, and putting her through prostitution for money, and all that, and her threatening to tell daddy, father-in-law, that she was pregnant and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe the whole thing was out to get her diamonds. I don't know. But eventually they extradited him back here to Texas. Big trial.
Yeah,
this
scandalous trial.
Like O.J. Simpson back then. I'm serious. It's like a big to do. And So they tried to do a change of venue. His Mr. Rothschild got him, a fancy attorney.
His father, yes.
Yes. And apparently he was convicted, but then because of some of the details, was it double jeopardy?
Yeah, this case
after this?
Yeah, after, well, go ahead and finish the story and then we'll talk about that.
Okay. On appeal.
He was found guilty the first time.
Right. On appeal, you got like 10 high dollar attorneys. I think one was one of the big state attorney's office guy. He became a senator. That bigwig actually got him off on a technicality. So I don't know if it's because of the dates, whatever, but Abe's daddy got the best attorneys for him, like 10 different attorneys to go on this case, and ended up he got off. Because
they were able to somehow prove that he couldn't have been there at that time, that he was in another location.
Right. So you know how that goes. He had an alibi or something. He couldn't have been there. But there's witnesses all over the place.
Now, one of the other things about this case that I found interesting was apparently Abe felt some remorse for killing her. And that's surprising to me, because him being a grifter and him being a scam artist and wanting the jewelry and everything. But he tried to kill himself. Shot himself in the eye. And somehow he lived.
Yeah.
He wore a glass eye for the rest of his life.
Now, during the trial, he actually had a bandana over his eye because it hadn't healed yet.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he got drunk.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But I guess he wished he hadn't done that, because he went on to live a fairly long life, got remarried,
had two girls,
and continued grifting and scamming. But one of the interesting things about this case was that this is one of the cases that was reviewed when they decided to put in the double jeopardy law, which means you can't be tried more than once for the same crime. So not only was this a scandalous case, and I mean, there's lots of people that visit this gravesite, but this is by far in East Texas, in this area, probably the most visited gravesite. And so not only because of the scandal, but also because it set legal precedent.
Right.
So anyhow, I'll give you another look at the gravesite here.
Okay, now this headstone was put in by a foundry guy in the 30s.
Yeah, originally it did not have a headstone. It was an unmarked grave.
He felt bad for her, and so he put it on there in the 30s. Then Ladies Garden Club or somebody put the wrought iron stuff in way back, like in the 60s. But this is really nice, I mean, to be remembered as, a murder victim, even though she did have a life of prostitution and stuff. Nobody deserves to be murdered in that, no matter,
and just forgotten.
Yeah. But when you come in the cemetery, you just come straight down that middle road where it tees and turn right, and it's here.
Yeah,
a nice bench
and this is the Oakwood Cemetery in Jefferson, Texas. And a little bit about the cemetery: there's almost 15,000 people entombed in this cemetery, or interred in this cemetery. There's a lot of Civil War casualties that are buried here, and Civil War veterans that were buried here. And then there's kind of an unusual burial also that we saw on the sign when we came in. There was 2 antagonists. One of them was named Robertson and one of them was named Rose. They don't know their first names, but Robinson and Rose killed each other. And what they did was they chained them together and buried them together somewhere in this cemetery. And there's supposed to be an iron post that marks where their grave is, but there's several iron posts, so we're not sure which one it could be. But I thought that was kind of cold of the city or the coroner, whoever decided to chain them together, because how would you like to be chained next to the person for all of eternity that killed you?
Yeah, killing each other. Well, no, I don't know. That's pretty sad.
Okay, we're gonna give one more look at this gravesite here. As you can see, there's been people that have left lots of mementos here. Looks like there's a ring there on the ground, lots of coinage.
And look,
there's a cross.
Fake diamonds.
Yeah, over there.
See some fake diamonds here?
Yep. And then over here on the back side, there was something hanging. I haven't been back here yet. It says, "Love is all you need," with a tassel.
Wow. See, these are all fake little diamond jewels.
Yep.
Oh.
There's a rose.
Yeah.
It's kind of ghostly looking.
Yeah.
And from what we understand, at night, this is a very, very spooky cemetery. A lot of people won't enter this cemetery after dark. During the daytime, it doesn't look that scary. But neat place. Just, this is our first time we've come to Jefferson, and we're just blown away by all the stuff there is to do here.
Yeah. Another thing about Abraham, after he married his second wife, Mabel, they went on to scam people. He was noted to be like a big horse race enthusiast and was an expert on that, which he was just scamming people that away too. I mean, it's like he kept on with stuff, and Mabel's kind of part of that too. But, you know, it's like, I wouldn't want to be his kids, but, you know, they got in trouble time and time again, and they went to Europe, and they came back here, then they went to, you know, South America. They went all over, you know, the place, scamming people in different ways. So, I don't know. Eventually, his mother took him off the will. You know, of course.
Yeah.
But
yeah, if I had done something like that, there's no way in the world my father would pay for an attorney for me.
yeah, but his mama just had enough of it, an embarrassment to the family.
My father would have. My father
family.
would have donated money to the prosecutor.
Yeah. You guys. Alrighty, y'all.
Alright guys, well, we hope you enjoyed our visit here to Diamond Bessie's gravesite at Oakwood Cemetery in Jefferson, Texas. If you did, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, hit the little bell down in the corner, and until next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Strange RV tours will take you places with Greg and Janet's smiling faces. You might see a crazy flavored soda review or some tips to fix your RV too. So come along, won't you join us, friend, as we discover what's around the bend. Just sit right back in your easy chair. Strange RV Tours is on the air. Strange RV Tours is on